So this is a story of change of perspective. And it begins, I don't even know how long ago, it was many years ago. I honestly can't remember. But some years ago, I'm talking about at least, it's more than 10 years ago. I had an experience at my job where I used to work, and while there, I had an encounter where I was asked to do something. I was asked to deal with a particular customer, and this customer was actually, in my mind, very annoying. And it was after hours, and I just didn't feel as if, I felt as if my supervisor was asking me to deal with that customer, I guess, out of spite, right? As if he was picking on me. And so, I wasn't really usually someone to stand up for myself, but it had times when I would. And in this instance, I did. And I was like, no, I'm not dealing with that customer. I'm not dealing with him. I'm getting ready to go home, right? And I did that. But the next day, when I came to work, I was told that I would be working in another area, another section, right? So as punishment, my supervisor removed me from where I was and put me next to someone else, right? And y'all, I remember that day I was so mad. I was angry. I was upset. I was so upset that I didn't want to speak to the girl next to me, right? And so I was just there, I was sitting there and I was doing my work and I wasn't talking to her at all. I was just mad, angry, right? And over time, that very same girl and I ended up becoming really, really good friends. And I remember one day when I felt as if God unraveled like his plan, and this is such a testimony of when bad things happen or when things don't go your way or the way that you had hoped or planned. You realize that God's hand is behind it sometimes, right? And so in this case, he showed me that, Abio, all you need to do was change your perspective. And I never forgot that, because me being moved to that section ended up being such a blessing for me, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed the job. I enjoyed working with my coworker. I enjoyed the customers that we dealt with there, and we became almost like this family, and it was amazing, right? And God taught me a really, really powerful lesson there, that sometimes you need to shift your perspective, right? Change your focus, change the way you look at a situation. Yes, you might like it. Yes, it wasn't according to, what you might have expected or even planned, but he has a hand in it, and so that is what you did. And I learned the lesson. I appreciated it at the time. And then I didn't think about it again for a while after that. So, as I said, I had that experience, I had that, life lesson, and I never thought about it again. My coworker and I, we continued to be really good friends. And then, after doing my certificate course, I felt the call to go to Bible school, like full-fledged Bible school. That is really how it's considered, right? Because the certificate course isn't done at the school's location, right? It's done at different church branches, right? So I felt that push from God to go to Bible school. And so I signed up. And as part of your assignments, once is your, of course, in Bible school, right? You're training to be a minister. I knew that God didn't call me to be a pastor or anything like that. And so I went there with the intention of just learning whatever it was that God wanted me to learn. And you guys, there's so many things to why God sent me there that, I only understood after. And one of those things was this. As part of one of my assignments, you're expected to preach at your church, right? And so my pastor assigned me a date to minister, and I was terrified. I was so scared. I didn't know what to preach on, right? And it just so happened that the date that I was given was Mother's Day. And I remember seeking the Lord. Honestly, I don't fully remember the process of how I came to know what message to minister on. But the topic that God gave me was change your perspective. Y'all, so my very first sermon that I ever preached, its title was Change Your Perspective. And I used the story of Hannah, where she could not bear children and she begged her husband to give her children. And he was explaining to her pretty much that I am not the one restraining you from having children. It is God who has to open up her womb. And that in itself is a powerful lesson right there, right? But she went to God, right? She went to the temple to pray, and we should know the story, but I'll still tell it, right? She went to the temple to pray and she begged God, she asked God for a son. She was specific, right? She asked God for a son. And Eli, the priest Eli, he came and he saw her just whispering and thought that she was drunk and that kind of thing. And she had to explain to him, no, it's not that I'm drunk, right? It's that I'm earnestly praying to God for something. And he said, let it be whatsoever it is you ask, right? Of course, those are not the exact words, but pretty much he blessed whatever it was that she was asking God for. And God blessed her with a son. And so in my sermon, I was sharing that, she begged God for a child. She wanted a child more than anything. And what did she do? She promised God that if he gave her a son, she would give that child right back to him. And I was blown away. And, I really encouraged moms in that sermon to, I guess, just understand how strong they are and to have that kind of faith and trust in God and to change their perspectives of whatever it is, the situation might be that they're facing, right? And the perspective shift was exactly that. She desired a child. When does you want a baby? You want to be able to take care of that child. You want to be able to see that child grow up and become a doctor or something like that, right? Whatever aspirations you have for your child. And instead, what Hannah did was that she gave that baby right back to God. She shifted her perspective. Her perspective, I saw, shifted from, I guess, wanting a baby to now giving God all glory and honor, right? It shifted from her wants to what he wanted, right? And that is what God wanted, you guys, because Samuel grew up to be a powerful prophet in Israel, and there was no war while Samuel ruled, and he was respected throughout the nation of Israel. So, guys, that is a story of change your perspective. After having experienced ministering that sermon, I felt something shifted in me. I felt a call to purpose, of course, again, not to be a pastor or anything like that, right? But to speak, to teach, to share the word of God, and to, I guess, explain it with a different perspective. And so amazingly enough, when my now husband asked me to start a YouTube channel, I knew exactly what the name of that channel should be, which, as you all know, is Change Your Perspective. And that's it. That is the story behind Change Your Perspective. That is why we call this channel this, and that is why I continue to share my personal experiences and even Bible lessons that I might have read and, gleaned some new perspective from. I come here and I share it with you guys. So, as I usually end, no matter what situation you might be facing, perhaps all you may need to do is change your perspective.